Welcome to Theory of Pets. I'm a passionate pet owner with a drive to help others like me uncover the truth about the pet industry and what goes on behind the scenes. I've done podcasts focusing on aging pets and senior dogs in the past. This time I wanted to focus on something a little bit more specific. I've had a lot of audience members ask about sarcopenia, which is muscle loss in older dogs. It's something that needs to be taken very seriously, and a lot of pet owners don't even realize what it is until they're having to deal with it in their pets. So today I actually was lucky enough to speak with Dr. An. He's been on the podcast before. You may remember him. And I spoke with him about sarcopenia, strategies on taking care of aging dogs and dealing with muscle loss. He actually has been working with a company that's created a new product to deal with this. So he's going to talk a little bit about that as well, and some of the other things that are available commercially to help dogs with muscle loss, and some of the things that you can do at home to help your senior pets as well.
Hello, my name is Dr. Albert An, and I am a veterinarian who works with both dogs and cats. And currently, I am a veterinary advisor for Mayo's Pet. My work with Mayo's Pet is centered on helping them to bring new and innovative products to the veterinary marketplace. These products are very, very helpful for both dogs and cats that have lost muscle or have developed joint disability.
So today we're talking about senior pets. That's the focus of the podcast, which is, I think, something that is important to educate people on, because we're all going to have a senior pet at one point or another. Can you start by talking a little bit about the signs of aging and what pet owners should be concerned about when it comes to aging pets?
Sure. We see aging pets in my practice every day. And I always review with our pet owners what some of the signs are and some of the things that can be done, because we don't have to accept these aging changes. There are many ways that we can actually help our pets as they enter their senior years. But some of the symptoms or some of the signs that you look for are increasing dental disease. So dogs can develop gum disease, they can develop periodontitis, and they can even start to lose some of their teeth as they get older. Another area to look at is weight. So sometimes as pets get older, they may actually gain weight because of a metabolic problem. In other instances, they might lose weight. And again, that can be because of an underlying disease that's causing them to lose. Another area that we look at are the senses. And I'm sure many of our listeners have seen or observed dogs that have had loss of vision or are having more difficulty seeing, or for that matter, becoming more deaf, if you will. And so these are some changes that can occur with these older patients. And it's important to see your veterinarian for regular visits so that they can more accurately assess how much vision loss or hearing loss may have occurred. One of the biggest areas where you can see aging changes is with muscles and joints. A lot of our senior dogs actually start to lose muscle mass, and sometimes there's a close relationship between loss of muscle and arthritic joints. As dogs develop arthritic joints, because of the discomfort, there's often a decrease in activity or exercise because they're less willing to move or exercise because of discomfort that they're experiencing with their joints. So one of the big things that we always focus on in our practice is how to keep muscles and joints healthy, particularly in our older dogs. So I would say, Samantha, those are some of the key areas that we see with our older pets as they're entering their golden years.
And I wanted to discuss a condition called sarcopenia with you today. That's a common condition that you have a lot of experience with. Can you tell us what this condition is and when pet owners should consult their veterinarian about it?
Sure. Sarcopenia is a scientific term that is used to describe loss of muscle. So, anytime that a dog loses muscle, there is often a loss of weight that's associated with that. And so, whenever we see a patient that has lost weight, and even for those patients that are maintaining their weight, we do try to look at the quality of their muscle mass. When we see sarcopenia, we start to ask questions of the pet owner. Have there been changes in activity? Has there been a reduction in exercise? Is the dog going for shorter walks? Does the dog get more tired when we're going on walks? Is the dog less eager to go on walks when they used to love going out? By asking some of these important questions, Samantha, it helps us to zero in on whether we have a problem with the muscles, such as sarcopenia, or if there could be some kind of a joint issue like arthritis at the root cause. A lot of times we'll find that the two are actually interrelated with each other.
That makes sense. Is there a danger if sarcopenia is left untreated?
Great question. Leaving sarcopenia untreated, and more specifically, leaving the underlying cause for loss of muscle untreated, can be really hazardous for your pet's health. I'll give you an example. If your dog has started to lose muscle mass or is developing sarcopenia because of an underlying kidney disorder, by not identifying that problem and by not getting treatment for that kidney disorder sooner, one runs the risk of having permanent kidney damage, and that could shorten the overall lifespan of your dog. So it's really important for our listeners to recognize that muscle health is almost a window into the overall health of their dog. And that's why one of the big things that we always look at in my practice is, how are the muscles? Has there been weight loss? Has there been muscle mass loss? If so, then we begin a search for what that reason might be. And often that search will turn up very treatable conditions, which ultimately help our pets live healthier and happier lives once we successfully treat them.
So we talked about what happens if they're not treated. Obviously, the treatment would depend on the underlying condition, but can you talk a little bit about the treatment options that would be available?
Absolutely. So when you look at arthritis as the most common reason why our older dogs have mobility issues and will undergo loss of muscle or sarcopenia, a lot of our efforts are focused on evaluating the major joints in the patient. We can often identify one or two joints that are more severely affected in the patient. And once we've done that, we can actually begin tailoring a program to help that patient with the aching joints. There are a number of different treatments. There are a number of different supplements that can be used with varying degrees of success to help those joints become a little bit healthier and a little bit less painful. The other big thing, Samantha, that I wanted to touch base on is that rehabilitation is becoming a very big part of veterinary medicine. Years ago, we didn't really think that much about rehabilitation medicine. Now, we actually have a board specialty in veterinary medicine that is specifically devoted to rehabbing our dogs following surgery or rehabbing dogs that have become aged and are having mobility issues. Samantha, some of the techniques that are being used by our rehabilitation veterinarians are very specialized, they're very powerful, and they can actually help these dogs regain a lot of their former mobility and muscle strength through very specific programs that are designed to help these patients. So there are regular programs that pet parents can take their dogs to allow the rehabilitation veterinarian to exercise and to continuously evaluate the legs and the joints in their dog.
Oh, that's fantastic. Is there anything that pet owners can do as a preventative measure to hold off muscle loss as long as possible?
In fact, relatively recently, a new product has come onto the market called Canine Muscle Formula. It comes in two different varieties. There's the original, and then there's one that's available exclusively through veterinarians called Canine Muscle Formula Veterinary Strength, and that is by the company called Myos Pet. The product, Canine Muscle Formula, is built around fertilized chicken egg yolk. And scientists have found, and there are a number of clinical studies that have been done at well-respected universities around the country that show that this particular formula can actually help to rebuild muscle in patients that have lost muscle mass. Many of these patients that have lost muscle mass will be orthopedic patients that have had leg confinement or immobilization. And anyone who's ever had a cast on their arm understands that you can lose muscle mass through this process called disuse atrophy. There have been studies that have shown that older dogs, geriatric dogs that have arthritis and other bone conditions, have benefited from this product. They've actually built muscle mass, they've actually regained strength, and they've regained a lot of their vitality and former exercise abilities by being on this particular product, which is just put right into the food that they eat. It tastes great. It's an all-natural supplement, and it really has been shown in study after study at major universities to promote growth of muscle in these dogs that have lost muscle.
Wow. And I will link to some of that research as well, and the company's website. So if anybody that is listening would like some more information or to check out some of that research, there will be some links under the podcast to do that. So we've talked about muscle mass loss, what we can do to prevent it, what we can do to treat it once it's become a problem. Is there anything else about sarcopenia or muscle loss in aging dogs that you'd like our listeners to know?
One of the important tips that I'd like our listeners to know, Samantha, is that working with your veterinarian is one of the greatest resources that pet parents have. Veterinarians have been trained in anatomy, in physiology, and in the overall care for dogs and a wide range of other species. So tap into your veterinarian's expertise. They have a lot of experience and knowledge in how we can help to reverse sarcopenia, how we can help our dogs, especially our older dogs, lead more active and fulfilling lives by being able to exercise and play the way that they used to when they were younger. Veterinarians are more than happy to help their pet parents with these types of questions and problems.
And I think that's so important to note, and something that definitely is worth a conversation with our vets. As your dogs are getting older, it's good to just make an appointment and go in and chat about that and see what things you can be doing to make the transition into seniorhood easier for your pet.
And Samantha, I'd like to build on what you just said. Some pet owners are under the impression that, okay, my dog's face is developing some gray hairs and he's slowing down a little bit. And so some pet owners feel that there's almost an inevitability that they need to accept this slowing down, that they need to accept creaky joints, and that they need to accept loss of muscle and weakness in their dogs. And I am a big champion, Samantha, of telling these pet parents, talk to your veterinarian. You may be surprised by some of the new technologies, some of the new products like canine muscle formula that can really make a big difference for our senior dogs. A lot of people may not realize that today dogs are living much longer and much more fulfilling lives than they did just a scant 15 or 20 years ago. And Samantha, it's because of new products and innovations and techniques that have been developed, like canine muscle formula, that allow these dogs to live healthier and longer lives. It's a really exciting time in veterinary medicine.
Absolutely. And as with all medicine, like you said, there are new developments almost daily. We're learning new things. There's new research being done. So absolutely encouraging people to talk to their vet and see, even just since you had your checkup last year, there's new information out there. And it's definitely worth just calling up and having a consult and chatting with your vet about.
You bring up another great point, Samantha, that having regular checkups for your older dog, that's a really good idea. I actually recommend for our dogs, that the older ones, that seeing the veterinarian every 6 months is a great idea, because things can change. A lot can change in 6 months' time. And the sooner that we can pick up something that's abnormal, the more likely we are to be able to present and implement a treatment that will benefit that dog.
And I know when dogs are younger, it's more typically that yearly checkup and vet visit. So as they get older, maybe seeing the vet a little bit more frequently. And are there any other tips that you can share with pet owners who are, having a senior pet, and how they can better take care of those needs?
Absolutely. In addition to working with your veterinarian, if you go to the Mayo's Pet website, which is Mayo's Pet, canine muscle formula can help your older dog that may have muscle loss issues, and how canine muscle formula can help your dog. So there's a lot of great information on that website, mayospet.com, and that will help our pet owners to become more knowledgeable about the different options that are available to them.
And another big thank you to Dr. On for being a guest on the show today. I appreciate the time that he spent to give us some great information about taking care of senior pets. And again, I think this is a really important topic, even if you don't currently have a senior pet. Obviously, if you're a pet owner, you will have a senior pet someday, and you'll have to deal with these issues. So thanks again to Dr. On for coming on the show, and thank you guys for listening. If you're listening on iTunes or you've downloaded from the Google Play Store, however you're listening, if you could just leave a quick review, that always helps me when I'm reaching out to experts in the industry to let them know that you guys are out there, you are enjoying the podcast, and you're waiting to hear more. So thanks again for tuning in. I'll be back very soon with another hot topic.